FESIG, Free Energy Special Interest Group, where science meets spirituality in the quest for truth and knowledge to free humanity and transform this planet into a paradise.
Hi everyone, this is Crystal. Welcome to the FESIG 113th meeting. Today, this is the second session. Today is the 7th of June, and we are holding the second session of the 113th meeting. And I'll show very quickly before I pass the microphone over to the chair of this second session. Okay, this is FESIG, the Free Energy Special Interest Group. And this is our 113th meeting. I have here with me Pontus Hefsger, who's the head of R&D of FESIG, and James Rink is on the board with me, along with Pontus and Fres. Fres is not present because he is, well, his sister just passed on to the other side, so sad. Condolence to Fres family and deepest sympathy. So FESIG is a platform where science meets spirituality, and we have a lot of speakers coming in to help us with the development of our technologies, as well as opening up our awareness with truthers and disclosure, whistleblowers coming in to speak of what is going on this planet right now. So we had the first session just now with Fernando Vos speaking about temple building and the creation of sacred space, which was like, woo, awesome, folks. When I published the video, I trust that you would look at it. It is so brilliantly illustrated with lots of pictures because it's been traveling around Southeast Asia and all those countries with mystical site temples. Okay, so and then the second session, actually, we have inventor extraordinaire Ronald Heyer with his invention speaking, but unfortunately he couldn't turn up or whatever for whatever reason. And James, as usual, coming to the rescue. James has got Ashtar Anar speaking for us instead, just then in last minute. And thank you with so much love and gratitude that James, you could do this, and Ashtar just hop in and agreed to speak with very, very short notice, no notice whatsoever. And if you want to write to me, Crystal at truevisionofpeace.com, and our website is truevisionofpeace.com/FESIG.html. You can know all about us. And we have our, of course, video channels as well. Thank you. Now I have to stop sharing now, and I want to pass the microphone over to the chair. James Rink, will you take over the microphone? Thank you. James Rink of supersoldiertalk.com. There you go.
Hello, everybody. Thank you, Crystal, for that amazing introduction there. So let's go ahead and let's take that out. Okay, so now it's just me and Ashtar Anar here in the spotlight today, and we're going to be sharing, well, I guess to be more Ashtar Anar. I'm just going to be here as a guide here to help him along here to learn about spiritual technology. So let me go ahead and pull up Ashtar's bio here. So his AKA David Lotherington is another name that he goes by. At the age of 28 years old, David had his first awakening. His abilities began to come in waves as he developed, and the more he healed himself and others, the more his skills and memories came forward to be remembered. David is a Melchizedek high priest that can channel the ascendant masters, angels, galactics, and God or El. David has had recall of his past lives, including Sun Tzu, Marcus Aurelius, Robert the Bruce, Achilles, Sigurd the Slayer of Fafnir, Lancelot du Lac, Little John, de Artarzian, King David, and Enlil. All his experiences combined assisted David helping those who are lost and looking for a way forward. To enhance themselves. He is a proficient psychic, surgeon, channeler, Akashic reader, and teacher who hopes to share his knowledge with as many people as possible and to heal those who need healing. After a second awakening, he discovered his true name, Ashtar Anar, and his website is davidlotherington.com. Welcome. Do you prefer to be called Ashtar Anar or David? What do you want me to call
me? David or Ashtar, it doesn't matter to me.
Okay. So thank you for coming on here at short notice. I know you're a really busy person, and I am too, but this is very important to share your message here today. So again, FESIG is focused on releasing technology, but we wanted you to share some of your spiritual technology. So I think maybe we can begin about a little bit more information about yourself and some of the things that you have done about yourself. So where would you like to begin on that? Or do you?
Well, that's a great question. Currently, I'm working on the House of El Mystery School. Our website's thoel.ca. That's what I was working on when you just messaged me. And essentially, I channel twice a week to teach about alchemy and magic and the rules of the matrix. And a lot of Cal doesn't talk too much about technology, but he talks a lot about the fields that surround the physiology. And he also talks about the internal physiology and the elements that are composed within the physiology as well. So for anyone that's interested in alchemy and magic, that's a great place to learn about this stuff. So typically that's my focus, but I'm also a telepath. And I'm connected with Ashtar Command as well in the Galactic Federation of Light. So I communicate with them on a regular basis. And they talk about technology from time to time, but I don't typically ask too many questions on tech. I just use organic stuff most of the time.
All right, great. So who are the people that you're channeling primarily, or is it just open? Or maybe you can give us examples, some of the people you channeled.
Sure, yeah. I channel a being named Saint Germain. I've channeled Master Jesus, Ashtar Sheran, which is my higher aspect. Enlil, I've channeled several different Anunaki, actually. Cal is the one I typically channel. He's the Cal Force, known as the Cal Force. I've channeled Mary Magdalene, Merlin, and several others. So typically Ascended Masters, Archangel Michael, angels, and things like that.
Oh, wow. So have you always had these channeling abilities?
No, not always. When I woke up at around 28 years old, I didn't really have any abilities. I had maybe clairaudience, a little bit of it, but I didn't even know what that meant at the time. But several years after I became a Reiki master, my abilities became stronger and stronger. And eventually I started to understand them and develop them. So.
Oh, wow. So at what point did you start getting downloads of these past life memories to discover who you were or are?
That's a great question. That's been happening for ever since my awakening happened. So it'd be good for everyone to know what an awakening actually is, I think. An awakening is when your soul comes into your body more. You always have this little spark of your soul. That's how you remember your past. But if your consciousness isn't in a place, then you don't have memory of that. And when you have your awakening, more of your consciousness, you become conscious and you become more aware. And that's because there's more consciousness in you. And that means there's a little bit more of your soul in you, which is the next thing to spirit. And spirit is essentially a god. And if you have a little bit more of a god in you, you have more powers similar to a god, you might say, which is your clairs, like clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairtangency, clairalience, clairempathy, etc. So.
Oh, nice. All right. So, let's start speaking. Maybe we could go over your connection to this Ashtar Anar. Who is this person?
So Ashtar Anar is me. That's my identity now. But I only found that out maybe 6 months ago or so. I had a second awakening, actually. And during my second awakening, I found out my true name. So Ashtar Sheran it's essentially a celestial higher self of me. And I'm the lower self of that Ashtar. They just call me Anar, that's all.
There it is. Okay, great. Thank you for sharing that. All right. So how about we can go over, so what are some of the things some of the downloads that some things you could share with us?
Do you guys want to learn about magic?
Yeah, that sounds like a really good idea. Sure. So how would you
Yes.
define magic? And does it even exist?
It's
What-
real.
Okay.
But it's not as you might think it is. It's not necessarily fireballs and lightning bolts or whatnot. It is magic is defined as higher dimensional energy pulled down to this dimension and stored in the root chakra. Once you store magic in the root chakra, it's able to be balanced and it grounds into the planet. And you can charge up your chakras. You're starting with the root, your sacral, your solar plexus, your heart, your throat, your third eye, and ultimately your crown, if you can reach that high. And you can release this using a release word, this energy, this mana, using a release word to change your reality. So ultimately, magic is the energy of creation, the energy of the creator or prime source, you might say. And what the reason why we pull from higher dimensions, this is higher self magic we're talking about. There's lots of different types, but this is what we teach in the school. In the higher dimensions, anything above the third dimension, things manifest faster. And when you get up into the sixth and seventh dimension and eighth and ninth, things happen instantly or very, very quickly. So what we want to do is take that very quick manifestation from up there and bring it down to the 3D, which is quite low in dimensionally. And then we can use that in our dimension to make something manifest quickly. And that is what magic is in a nutshell.
Oh, wow. Amazing. Okay. So what can you tell us about sigils? Do they actually work? Yeah, we can start with that, I guess.
Sure. Sigils definitely work. I'm not an expert in sigils, but I do know a little bit. So a sigil is typically, I'll give you an example. I have, Cal uses a symbol called the Kalia. It looks a lot like a 7, but it's overextended at the bottom and it has a little hook at the top. And the Kalia means don't forget to live your life. Sigils are powerful symbols that have energy behind them. And when you understand the meaning behind the sigil, then you can tap into the energy of the being that owns the sigil, for example. There's a lot of galactics use sigils to represent what they look like or represent their energy identity, you might say. And you can use a sigil to connect to them, but there's lots of sigils for different things. So you can use them in magic too.
Oh, wow. So is there a difference? I guess, I mean, the difference between white magic and dark magic, ideally, I mean, from your perspective, which one is like more effective or is they all work, I guess? And unfortunately,
they all work. Well, we
magic.
don't use any dark magic in the school, but it's essentially all magic is neutral, but what you do with it, if it is against someone's boundaries and free will, if it's unethical, then it becomes dark. And if it's light magic or white magic, you might say, it serves the highest and greatest good, or it serves the best of that person. So that's how I would define it.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. And does magic always come with a price?
No.
What do you think?
No, it doesn't. But it does take time. It takes a while. Well, it depends how far you are in your magic, but it takes quite a while to charge up your chakras. It might take someone a month to charge their chakras up all the way. And then when they release that magic, the magic is powerful because it has the ability to change the matrix itself, this holographic reality that we're living in. And if you can change the rules of the matrix to a small degree, then you can change something in our reality, which is a big deal. If you change too much, then the Smith might come try to get you. But if you just bend the rules, they may not notice. So that's the hope.
All right. So what can you tell us about the Matrix and also the Smith? Who are they?
Sure. This is all recent information from the school that I've gathered in communicating with Enlil and other Anunaki, essentially. But essentially, our matrix was created by Tiamat. It's a Hydra, and Anu, and the Smith. So these 3 entities. The Smith is just an AI program that's automated, and it runs it while Anu and Tiamat are not consciously focusing on the matrix. But they created the matrix, And if you go back to historical writings, they talk about Anu being the original one and whatnot. But essentially, Anu is a 7.9th dimensional dragon, an Anunaki. And Tiamat, I believe, is 8.2. She's very, very, very high up there. And she's like a creatrix, something of this nature. Anyway, they created this matrix as a game for their children to play in, for Enki and Enlil and all of the other Anunnaki to play in. And then they birthed humanity, et cetera, et cetera.
Oh, wow. So I guess now we're already on the Anunnaki. Are they positive or negative? What's your thoughts on that?
I mean, it has to be a mixed answer, because even though I do have some of their genetics, I still have positive and negative experiences with them. I think if you're not a strong individual and you don't have very strong boundaries, then they may take advantage of that potentially, depending on the individual being. But if you're honorable, if you have high integrity, if you're strong, then they will joke around with you. I can honestly say that I know probably 6 or 7 of them, and I talk to them on a regular basis. And they don't care about the rules at all. They don't follow the rules. They know that this is a game and that there is no rules, and that the only rules that there is are the ones that you choose to follow. And the more rules you choose to follow, the more you limit yourself in this world.
Oh, wow. Well, that really can wrap your mind around that one. You can see why religions were created and all that, to just control people. Okay. Was Enlil or Enki Lucifer? What are your thoughts on that? Or which one was good or bad?
I believe Enlil is Archangel Michael. It's a reflection of Archangel Michael, and Enki is a reflection of Lucifer, essentially. They're both reflections of each other.
Okay.
And Enlil is a reflection of Enki, Prince Enlil and Prince Enki.
All right. So which one was good or bad?
Well, I have a soul aspect of Enlil, and I work with Archangel Michael, and Ashtar is actually a reflection of Michael as well. So I would say Enlil's good. It depends on your perspective, I suppose.
Well, there's a prominent channeler in the community here who's been channeling Enki and obsessed with Enki and worshiping Enki. So I guess we also had another individual remote view Enki and saw the person totally infiltrated with AI and trying not to connect with this individual because you'll get infested. But I don't know if that resonates with you or not, but
I was quantum entangled with Enlil one day, and I was seeing everything that they were experiencing. Quantum entanglement is very interesting if you've never experienced it, but essentially it's like you're not in your you're in your human body at the same time that you're in the body of the being, in this case Enlil. And Ninurta, another Anunnaki, was telling me a story about Enlil and Enki, and they said essentially that one day, I can tell you guys a story. You want to hear it, James? Essentially, it was a story about the kingdom of Anu Alum, which is the creation of Earth. It's the realm of the Anunnaki on Earth. This is prehistory stuff, you might say. And Anu Alum was a beautiful kingdom, and it was ruled by 2 princes, Enlil and Enki. And together, they had a beautiful reality, a beautiful realm. They both are connected to the divine, but one of them has fallen and one of them has not. But this is kind of this story, why that happened. So anyway, they ruled together, and the reality that they were in was very beautiful. But one day, Enlil was knocked on the back of the head with something. This is how they explained it to me, but really, I believe it was technology. They separated Enlil from the creator, and Enlil forgot who they were. And Enki essentially started a coup, and through the coup, Enlil was knocked on the head. And Enlil, from that point forward, forgot who they were. They forgot their friends. They forgot their family. They forgot that they were a prince. And anyone that tried to remind them, they just thought that they were crazy and they just wandered away until one day Enlil moved into the forest. And because of that, there was a huge power struggle in the kingdom. And everyone was striving to get power in the kingdom. And this power struggle is represented as why, even though it's 50% light and 50% darkness in our reality, that's why it seems like it's so dark. Like, why is there so much darkness when you go online and whatnot? It's because Enki is still in charge. And that's how this higher dimensionality affects us in this dimension. But
Wow,
currently, Enlil is trying to remember their memories.
Okay, are you familiar with the figure known as Maitre, Lord Maitre?
The Maitre?
Yeah, Maitre. Yeah, Maitre.
I've accidentally connected with them once. Maitre means master, I believe. And that was the darkest, heaviest energy I've ever experienced in my whole life. I can say that.
Yeah.
And I've done entity removals and I've removed demons from people. And it was darker than that.
Yeah, they say he's supposedly like the head of the whole cabal. He's like the eye.
I think
But-
Maitre is a race of beings.
Oh, okay.
But maybe it's someone's name. I don't know.
Okay. What can you tell us about the Garden of Eden and the early biblical story? You know, supposedly Adam gave Eve the apple or whatever, or it was the other way around. But either way, so supposedly they fell and were kicked out of the Garden of Eden. What is all about that?
Unfortunately, I don't know much about that. I've channeled Jesus and Mary Magdalene and some pretty cool beings, but they've never mentioned anything about that ever.
Yeah. All right. So we can maybe move on here. So what do you know about Ark ships? Maybe Noah's Ark and Ark ships in general.
I know a little bit about Ark ships. I don't know much about Noah's Ark, though. There are 3 Ark ships on the planet, I was told by Cal, and they're located in different areas, and people have been feeling earthquakes and things like that. That's typically the drives warming up and then cooling down as like a part of the renewal cycle. Ark ships are massive, massive ships that are buried on Earth, and they have one role to teleport any living organisms off of a planet before a cataclysmic event happens. So after that, they'll just burst out of the planet and they will leave. But that's my understanding. Their goal is to save as much genetic diversity as possible.
Have you ever remote viewed the interior of one?
I haven't.
Okay. Do you happen to know where some of their locations might be?
I heard that one of them is in Egypt, but I
Okay.
don't know where the others are.
Supposedly under areas where there's a desert that doesn't make sense where it should be, because they give off an energy field, which it's difficult for plants to survive. Okay. Do you know how many Ark ships there might be?
I believe there's 3 total.
Okay. All right. Now we'll go ahead and move on to the Ark of Covenant. Do you have any information on that?
A little bit. I channeled some information a while ago regarding what's inside of it. But it's a higher dimensional artifact. It's a relic, you might say. I have to ask Cal a little bit about that. I'm sure Cal could tell you a lot about it if I channeled Cal, but I don't know how you guys are open to channeling and whatnot on the channel. But there is several things like the staff of Moses is in it. A robe of Jesus, I believe, is in it as well. And it's far larger than it looks. And I don't know too much beyond that, but I believe that the energy from it is radioactive if you don't have the same genetic code to unlock it. So I don't know if it's an Anunaki tech, and if you don't have Anunaki genetics or soul attributes, you can't get close to it, but I believe it's one of those techs.
Okay, great. Wow, thank you. Let's go ahead and move on here. What about do you have any information on Atlantis? does that even still exist?
Ooh, that's a great question. I don't know enough about Atlantis. Some people are like Atlantis specialists. I had a life in Atlantis, but I don't recall too much of that information, unfortunately.
Okay.
But I know they had some interesting cold technologies for sure.
All right. Members in the chat, if you have some really good questions about advanced technology, be sure to ask it, because I'm doing my best here to rake my brain cells here to come up with some really good questions. I know we moved on, we jumped around from the Ark of Covenant to Atlantis, and now I guess we're going to have to jump over to Lemuria. Do you have any information on that too?
No, unfortunately, that's kind of the same category for me. So,
Crystal, here we can you ask Ashtar's advice on how to close dark portals in CERN? Do you have any information on CERN?
I do, yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
More specifically, the portals. So CERN has created portals. I don't know if they know about this or not, but the portals that are over Europe, it's actually, my geography is not the best, unfortunately, but CERN to the right around Russia is where most of the portals have been created from CERN. And they are portals that are emitting chaotic energy. And that's one of the reasons why there's so much war in this area, is because it's being released upon the Russian and Ukrainian people in this area. And it's causing them to kind of go a little bit crazier than they normally would. I have done some work to close those portals over Russia and Ukraine, and as has the school as well. But the CERN project still continues, so they're opening more and more rifts over this area, unfortunately. So,
do you think demonic entities are coming through these portals opened up by CERN?
definitely,
Yeah, okay.
yes.
Jimmy Payne has commented that in the future, CERN is destroyed, and when they go in there, they find all the scientists just basically all blood. So some entity is going to go anyway. All right. Okay. Next question. I just glanced over Lemuria. Did you comment about that? If not, we'll go.
I did. I pretty much said I don't know too much about it.
Okay. What about Camelot? Is that a fairy tale? Merlin and Camelot. What do you
It's
think
not a
about
fairy.
that?
Well, it is a fairy tale, but it happened in fourth dimension. So when people pull information from it, it is blurry. And I've channeled Merlin many times, and I've had a life as Lancelot du Lac. And Galahad, I have a connection with. Galahad's a member of the House of El Collective as well. And so I know a decent amount about it.
What is the fourth dimension, and what is life like there?
Well, I'm not there right now. I'm having this 3D experience, but so I don't know exactly. But I could tap into it energetically, but physically I can't go there.
Is it like an astral realm?
There would be more. Everyone would have psychic abilities in the fourth dimension, definitely.
Oh, so
Right. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, like those creatures that we find in like Greek myths and fables, like the giant,
like elementals and fae,
cyclops, and like centaurs and all that stuff. So does that exist over there too? Unicorns?
I believe so. So they occur in the 3D as well. However, they're in the post-plasmic layer. They're in the ether, if you wish, or the astral. Now, if you can dial into their frequency by entraining to their frequency, and then you can talk to a fairy or an elf or gnome or whatnot, a gargoyle or minotaur, whatever it is, whatever like range you're reaching for, they're accessible, but they're in a layer that's not perceivable by the visible eye, obviously, but you can entrain to them energetically.
Thank you. All right, so before we move on to another topic, let's go one more thing about the Anunnaki, because we actually did some work together probably about a year ago about the Anunnaki. We were working on trying to develop a method to help people live longer. And this Anunnaki that you were channeling was asking very specific questions. They wanted to know, well, is it going to be DNA specific? And, is it based on your vibration on the certain people, like only certain people can use it? And then they said, well, you have to use all this very specialized nanotechnology. So do you remember that session? What you said?
I don't recall, but I have been speaking to them regarding that. I can share that, but I don't quite recall the session.
Okay, go ahead. Sure.
When I was talking to Tiamat and Enlil regarding this, they said they more or less laugh when it comes to this reality because it's kind of a joke for them. It's a little game. And they said, it's easy. Why don't you just switch off your age in the code of the matrix while you're here talking to us? So how they perceive our reality is it's a video game, and I guess it's best to describe it as a computer program. And they see everything as code. When you see fractals, that's the holographic reality that we're in. And if you tweak some code in the matrix, you can change variables that you have within your Adam Kadmon, which is your divine template within your soul, essentially. And you can tweak that and change the programming of your system so you can turn your age on and turn your age off if you want.
Oh, wow. So is that like a meditation that you do or that you develop, or are you still working on it?
You would definitely have to reach really high. Typically, I'll do that through magic mushrooms, and I'll get to that higher plane. Yeah.
Nice. All right. Well,
Can I interject, James?
is this okay, Crystal? We can discuss this type of topics.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. I just want to say that what Ashtar Anar is saying could be confirmed with the fact that we had the speaker, Professor Florian, remember, who's talking about cracking the code with communication with God. And then we have Marina Jacobi talking about the matrix, about the quantum manifestation and all that. And then we have other mathematicians talking about codes. So I think what Ashtar is saying, and I was saying about codes in the matrix, it rings true. But it's like, does the bell ring there? Yeah, so everything is mathematically coded, isn't it? Yeah, it's a computer matrix. Yeah, so if you tweak and switch the codes, you're switching your Adam Kadmon in you were saying.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us more how it's done.
Oh, well, when you're up there communicating with these beings, you're not really in your 3D body that much. Your consciousness is around the 7th dimension, talking to Enlil 7.7. And to remember it in the physical memory, you have to change your frequency back to 3D. So a lot of stuff happens to us, let's say through our dream state, through astral projection, astral traveling, through past lives and whatnot. But you can't remember it because it's in another dimension. Now, the difficulty is pulling that dimension to you in the 3D so that you can access that memory of it. So you can actually have memory of that event. Otherwise, it's too difficult to access. Sorry, there's a chat there. So I can talk a little bit about what I've been taught as someone experiencing this reality in this matrix from the beginning, essentially, if you like to hear.
Yeah, before you say that, the mathematical codes, right, that can be channeled through and given to us to make things better. Would you have something to say about that? Is there a solution that you can help the people, the viewers here, like Marina Jacobi is pulling from the Council of Nine, the coding 7070 and then 1101. And we know that all these codings like 3303, 4404, 5505, and so on and so forth, that she has given in her workshop. Could you give us something, some mathematical codes that we can help ourselves with?
I know of one code, but I don't believe I have permission to share that. Those are known as the creation codes. I can say that. And so here's the thing. Anunaki have a natural understanding of our matrix and how these codes work and apply and what those codes apply to. By accessing those codes, you can change properties in the matrix. So these people may have some Anunnaki DNA that are giving you these codes. That's my assumption.
Are you familiar with Grabovoi numbers, David or Crystal?
Say that again.
From the Russian psychic Gregory Grabovoi.
Yeah.
Okay, you have. So these are codes that I guess he channeled them, but they're if you meditate on these codes, you can. It's for like organ regeneration and re-aging. People have alleged that they like regenerated uteruses, things like that, breasts and fingers. So I don't know. I guess that's probably connected to what you're saying. Just editing the matrix itself. I guess that's what we have to do. Okay,
Yeah.
but what a question to David or Ashtar Anar. So what about the so-called what I would call like an egregory of consciousness of all humans, an aggregate belief system that you're not supposed to do these things, you're not supposed to be telekinetic or levitate? Is that also affecting us on a subconscious level that's interfering with our desire to edit the matrix? What do you think?
Well, I think this goes pretty deep. I'm taught that not everyone is, not everyone has a soul in them. There's a lot of autopiloted individuals on the planet. These are NPCs. And only 10% of the population is actually conscious. And the rest of them they're there so you can have a good experience. And if you play a video game that doesn't have many, let's say you play Mario, but there's no Goombas and there's no turtles and there's no Bowser, it's boring, right? There needs to be these obstacles and challenges in life, and these are the NPCs. I kind of forgot your question. I apologize.
Oh, it's all good. We'll just move on. NPCs, by the way, stand for non-player character. And so what do you think drives like their consciousness? Do they even have a soul attached to them, or is it just like they're just an autopilot?
They're on autopilot, but there's a little fragment of soul in each of them. So this is where this story from the beginning kind of goes. The Smith runs them. They're part of the Smith, and they are members of collective consciousnesses. So for example, there's probably a lot of scientists here, curious people. All the scientists on the planet are in one collective consciousness. They're all interested in gathering the information and putting it to use to advance humanity in a way. That they all have one agenda. But there's several collective consciousnesses on the planet, and the Anunnaki can control these collective consciousnesses to desire something, like gold, for example.
Oh, wow. Wow. So many questions. Right. Well, why don't you comment about gold? Because yeah, that's so in ancient alchemy, there were stories of alleged philosopher's stone that could convert, say, lead into gold. What do you know about that? What have the Anunnaki told you?
I know a little bit about it because we channel Saint Germain and Merlin, and they talk about alchemy. There's a lot to know about that, and to share the secrets of alchemy without any background, I don't know if that's the wisest thing to do. But I can say you can. Okay. It has to do with moving ions. Okay. So I'm just asking permissions for something. Sorry. Okay. So essentially what I was told is, let's say you have a cast iron mold. The cast iron mold is about yay big. And in the center, you have iron. And then your cast is made out of steel. And it's not just there's one chamber in the center, but exterior to that, there's a chamber here, there's a chamber here, there's a chamber here, and there's a chamber over here. So it's surrounded by 4 chambers of a similar size to the center chamber. And those exterior chambers are holding another metal. All metals have different melting points. And when a metal reaches a certain temperature, like for example, gold's temperature is skin temperature. That's when it reaches its quantum properties. So that's why crowns were used in the past, to have greater access to consciousness and spirit, you might say. But iron and aluminum and titanium, they all have different quantum property points that require temperature. And typically it's associated with its conductivity. So gold has a very low quantum temperature. Aluminum has a pretty low quantum temperature. Cal said that aluminum causes Alzheimer's. Its quantum properties cause Alzheimer's. And typically people cook with aluminum and it's always being heated up. So that's really bad. So I don't recommend anyone do that, by the way. But anyway, when you reach the temperature of the center chamber to its proper temperature, and you reach the exterior chambers to their proper temperature, and they're both in the quantum state, this semi-fluid quantum aggregated state, I'll say, they start to transfer ions almost magically to each other. And that's when transmutation happens.
Wow, thank you. Okay, can you explain, if you have information on this, the difference of this higher dimensional gold found in ancient artifacts, but not modern ones? Do you need more? You need more context? You want me to explain some more?
Are you referring to liquid gold?
That is one form, yeah, like in El Dorado, where the Kemet civilization that still exists down there drink this liquid gold and allows them to live for 1 million years. Do you have information on it? It's living, it has consciousness.
We're just starting to learn about that in class. So unfortunately, I don't have too much information on it, but the liquid gold is an alchemical process to get it to that state. They started talking about it, but I don't know enough about it, unfortunately, to talk about it.
All right. All right. So we can move on to the next question. How would you define the term known as Ormus, or maybe manna that was being dumped into the Sinai desert for the Israelites? What can you tell us about that?
I know a lot about manna if you're referring to magic.
Sure. Okay, sure. Let's start with that. What is that?
Manna is higher dimensional energy pulled down to this dimension and then used to change our reality, to manifest something. But are you referring to Oregon?
We can talk about that later, but no, Ormus, element in a high spin state.
I don't know anything about Ormus.
Okay.
I don't know anything about Ormus, unfortunately.
Okay. What about the elixir of life that Saint Germain was working on, and that Madame Pompadour was chasing them down in the Versailles to try to get her hands on it? What can you tell us about that?
He did create that. And we are learning different things in alchemy. So just so everyone has a basis of what alchemy actually is, alchemy is the ability to transmute something from its natural properties and change those natural properties. For example, trees, they always grow. They represent perpetual growth and expansion and vitality. Those properties can be changed or swapped out using transmutation or alchemy. Alchemy consists of coding, balancing. I'm on the spot, so I need a little bit of time to remember all these, but essentially there are 5 pillars of alchemy and that are used together in the understanding: programming, coding, balancing, and unification. Yes. And there's another one, but anyway. And if you understand all of these, you can change the properties of an object so that metal's not always hard, just like gold is not always solid at room temperature.
Thank you. So for those who don't know, can you please explain who Saint Germain is in your own words? What do you think about that?
Sure. I don't have the best mind for dates and whatnot when Saint Germain existed, but Saint Germain, from what I've learned from channeling them, is a male figure, and they were a scientist, they were a musician, they were a poet, and they were an immortal. And they used alchemy and transmutation to create stones using chemicals and vibration. And they embellished themselves with crystals and stones. And they went from country to country at the time in Europe to teach royals how to create these stones in exchange for the resources that the royalty had. And they lived for quite a long time.
All right, this is what I wrote here in my notes about Saint Germain, and maybe you can comment about it. You can say, "Oh, that's great. I agree." Okay, so or you say, "No, Dave, that's not right." So Saint Germain had manifested a physical avatar body from the 5th or 6th dimension as a response from Creator Source from the prayers of the people on planet Earth for a savior to help raise the consciousness of planet Earth. Saint Germain seems to have manifested as a man that never aged because he projected himself from a higher density, which was based on the social memory complex of what humanity thought, I guess, God, or what God looked like on Earth should have looked like. You could touch him and he would feel real. Do you resonate with that?
Parts of it, I believe, are correct, but parts of it don't quite resonate as well.
Okay.
It's a very high up perspective, I will say.
Okay. All right. So do you recall any other information Saint Germain has told you that you could share with us now? Or do we catch you on a bad time?
Well,
Surely you remember
alchemy,
something.
we haven't fully flushed out alchemy. We did a lot of work in magic, but alchemy is still something that we're at an initiate level on. So I would have to refer to my notes to do that better.
Okay. So just to confirm that that I don't know, the Rothschilds or whoever got their hands, there is technology out there to transmute lead into gold. So they were actually doing it.
Yes, and I was told that a lot of the gold on the planet's surface now in circulation, like this, for example, it's most likely transmuted gold because it's significantly harder to mine gold than it is to transmute it.
Right. And there might be gold mines out there with no gold in it, and they're just transmuting the elements. And anyway, all right. So let's see here. Do you want to? I guess we can go on here for the next question. Maybe we can speak a little bit about what is it? A proficient psychic surgeon. What is that? What did you do?
What is psychic surgery? Well, on my path as a Reiki master, I started to see more and more as I started to work on clients. And as my clair abilities became stronger, my psychic abilities, I started to see more and hear more, talk more to my guides, and see more in people's fields. I started to see their aura and their chakras and the energy that exists between that, and entities and implants and all of that. And so psychic surgery is essentially affecting the spin rate of certain chakras that are overactive or underactive and bringing them to a proper state so the person doesn't have issues in their life. It's removing blockages. It's removing entities from people's field. It's removing implants or deactivating them. It's removing curses from people's field. That's psychic surgery in a nutshell.
Nice. Thank you. How about this? We can go over to your experiences, I guess, in the SSP. Were you in the SSP, the Secret Space Program?
Was. Yeah.
Okay. Can you tell us about what kind of technologies you might have encountered there, or what did you witness?
Yeah, I often bilocate to Ashtar Command on the ship to visit Astrea and Sheran and whatnot. And I've seen the ship, the mothership, the Athena, many times. But specific technologies are more difficult to describe because from the exterior, you don't understand how it works if you just look at it, you know what I mean? But I do know that they have sonic showers and you just walk into them. It takes maybe 20 seconds or less. And then all of the dirt falls off of you, all the oils and everything that doesn't belong. It just comes off you. I believe it has something to do with there's an initial scan, and it's a shower, but it's not a shower like we have, of course. It's a technology. And you step into this technology, it scans you as clean. It knows what clean looks like. And then once it has that template, it can easily bring that template back to you if you're really dirty. So something like that.
So the best sonic showers have a little tiny bit of water, according to Alana Kapoling. Okay, so what is Ashtar Command? Do you have a doppelganger station on the Athena? that you sometimes like connect to, or not? So yeah, just to start with that.
What do you mean by, I know doppelganger's a double,
Oh,
but
okay. So like you have another body there, like you're stationed there right now. So you're here, but you're also there. So when you say you bilocate, does that mean you're permanently stationed there too, or you just visit occasionally?
it's quantum is the best way I can describe that. But typically while I'm laying down, I'll visit Astrea or one of the other crew members of the Telion or another ship, and I'll just say hi to them because they're my comrades essentially. But just to straighten it out a little bit so it makes sense, the Ashtar Sheran and the Ashtar Anar thing. Ashtar Sheran is a celestial conscious being in alignment with the Christ frequencies. And they're a creator being, you might say. And Sheran means defender of the universe, or defender of the 9 realms, essentially. And which all is encapsulated in the universe. Now, Ashtar rules with Ra. Ra is in charge of the Galactic Federation of Light, I'm told. And that's why it's light, because Ra is light. Ra is the sun. That's the Christ as well. And I'm getting lost in the question. Anyway, Ashtar Sheran is my higher self, essentially. And I'm just a 3D ground crew version of Ashtar. That's why I'm Ashtar Anar. And Ashtar Anar means Ashtar means holder of light, and Anar means light bringer. And so for Ashtar Sheran, it's holder of light and defender of the universe, or defender of the 9 realms.
Oh wow! So
It's a title.
yeah, how many ships are in the Ashtar command? What do
I
you
don't know.
Okay.
Recently, they adopted the Orion fleet, I heard. So that would have grown by a large amount, but it's a federation, so there's a lot of ships.
Okay. So what is the difference of what is the difference between Ashtar Command and the Galactic Federation?
Very little. A leadership is what I'm going to say, but they share a lot of similar missions and agendas and whatnot. There are differences, but I don't know all the differences between them.
Okay. So why has I guess we're gonna skip that one. Okay, another question here. What did you do on the Athena?
While I'm visiting, typically.
Yeah, what do you do there?
It's a little bit of a romantic relationship, to be honest. Astrea is an Arcturian, and she is my counterpart as Ashtar. And I typically go up to see her, or I'll talk to Ashtar for a while. And he's looking at, I seen it on the display screen before. He's like, I want you to create this galaxy. And I won't get too deep into this because this is crazy talk right now, it sounds like. But especially for a bunch of scientists. But they're like, create this universe. And they're like, okay, first you have to add, is this a balanced space or chaotic space? You create that, and then you create circumstance for success in that reality, and then put on all the planets and add all the stars. And for each planet, you have to add a condition. Like if the civilization doesn't consciously ascend before 5 million years, then the planet explodes. So each planet essentially has its own condition. We do some crazy stuff. It's pretty much just camaraderie.
Oh wow. Did you witness their med bed healing technology?
I've never seen a med bed, but I've been told quite a bit about them.
Okay. So can you tell us anything that perhaps that we don't know already, that's not already in the public sector?
I don't quite know what the public has spoke about it because I've kind of been off the grid for a while.
Well, all right. So go ahead and just share what you know about it.
I can share some. I'm not supposed to share everything though. The med beds essentially are, let's say, it's a quantum piece of technology, so it is complicated to talk about, but essentially it has access to your atom cadmon, your original DNA template, your original divine blueprint. I'm I have to connect to Cal to access this information. So through frequencies, vibrations, sounds, it's able to access the atom Kadmon and bring it through into this reality. And it can expand around your physiology through your fields. There's several fields in your aura, and each of them has a name and blah, blah, blah. And by extending through that, it's able to transmogrify essentially your holographic reality, your form, which is your physical body. Your holographic reality is your physical form. And so essentially it changes your code in the matrix, which changes your atom Kadmon and changes your holographic form. Long story short.
Is there a chronovisor component which allows the technology to view you in the past, or maybe another alternate reality or dimension to pull up those templates?
That I don't know.
Okay.
But I have heard that for people that have Anunnaki in DNA, they can use the technology to a greater degree. So it's essentially, if you have zero DNA, you might not be able to use it at all. If someone has 2%, they might be able to use 10% of its capabilities. If someone has 5%, they might be able to use 50%.
Oh, wow. Okay. And can you comment if we were to say, do a meditation to go to Ashtar ship, to go to the medbed healing component, would that actually translate back to the third dimension back here? If you were just to go up there and meditate and into their technology, what do you think of that idea?
I'd have to ask, is what I would say. Just if you give me a moment, I can access it.
Okay, thank you.
Cal is saying it's not recommended because many people, it's like going on a school trip, he says, with young children. Oftentimes, even going to a simple destination, many young children will become lost on the route. So although your goal might be to go to Ashtar Command, you're going to have people going over here and getting stuck with Greys, people over here with Dracos, people over here with Orions. We don't want anyone to get hurt. So we don't recommend that mass amounts of people go visit the ship.
Okay, but theoretically, if you were to get there, I guess that they don't want people to come is what they're saying.
More or less.
Yeah, okay. Okay. All right, well, we'll skip that one. So can you comment if medbed technology, I don't know if you're familiar with the Antony Priory magnetic Bordeaux machine, but it uses EM scalar fields to cure cancer in mice. But the machine was back in the 70s and it was 3 stories tall. So they were going to build a larger version for humans, but the funders got threatened, and then the technology was never built. Supposedly it actually goes back in time to time reverse the cells before they were sick. So I'm thinking that allegedly it can reverse age. So there might be a technology. That's probably what this medbeds is probably based on. But okay. All right. So let's see here. Did you okay. What do the Arcturians look like?
I have a statue at.
All right, let's see it.
They have variances between each Arcturian. Typically, their eyes don't have slits. Someone else made this. But they are very tall, typically 7 to 9 feet tall, I would say. Very, very, very slender. I mean, like 8 foot tall and maybe 160 to 180 pounds. So very, very thin. And they have 3 fingers. They have 3 toes. They typically don't. They can pick whatever color they want to be, essentially, because they're high dimensional beings. They're typically above the 6th to the 8th dimension, approximately. So they don't really need a physical body, but they choose to take one for some reason. I don't know why. And so that means they can change their skin color. Arcturians typically choose blue as their skin tone because that's to honor their star Arcturus. But I've seen them range from white to green to orange and even a deep purplish color.
Oh, nice. That looks like that was from Cynthia Crawford. Do you remember her?
Yes, it was.
Yeah. Yeah, I think she died from cancer back in 2018. So I've got some of her statues too, and her website just went down. So anyway, all right. So going back to your SSP memories, anything else you want to mention?
There's a lot of stuff to talk about. I don't know where you want to start.
Do you remember how about did they ever teach you technology and let's say how to meditate? I'm sorry, not meditate, but levitate or telekinesis, anything like that? You can teach us.
I've done all that stuff, but I can't remember well enough to share those techniques. It has to do with letting go. I'll give you an exercise, a meditation to help everybody to get somewhere. I can't say it's going to do telekinesis or astral projection or whatnot, but it's how you can do all the psychic things, essentially. It's called the Star Meditation. It stands for surrender, trust, allow, and receive. So surrendering is essentially you're sitting down, you're chilling. Doesn't matter your breath work. That doesn't matter, honestly. But you shouldn't have any electronics around you, and no sound, no guided meditation stuff. I mean, you can do that if you want, but you're only going to go where they want you to go if you do that. Anyway, I don't use sound or anything. So surrender is essentially letting go of your expectations, letting go of your ego, letting go of your stress and your problems of your day, and letting go of all the things that don't serve your highest and greatest good. Trust is trusting that something wonderful is going to happen, that's exciting, that serves your highest and greatest good, and that you're not going to be hurt while you're astral traveling. You're not going to be damaged in some way or possessed in some way. You need to trust that the universe is going to take care of you. Allow is you have to allow what is to occur to occur. You can't stop it because you're afraid you might see dead people, or you're afraid that your third eye is going to open and then you're going to start feeling other people's emotions. And you don't want that because you live with an energy vampire, for example, or a negative person or whatever it is, or an anxious person. And receive is actually doing the act. That is when you actually channel. That's when you actually do the telekinesis. That's when you actually do the astral projection or remote viewing or bilocation or whatever it is that you're seeking to do. This technique is quite effective, and I've been using it for many years.
Thank you. Let's go ahead and kind of get down to the last bit of questions. So someone was asking about dragons. I personally met a dragon in my meditation healing. Can you tell us, so what are dragons? Are they even real? Is that some kind of fictional character or what?
They're very real. I know quite a bit about dragons. And okay, is it a fictional character? Yeah, it is, but it's also very real. But they typically exist in other dimensions. So dragons are special because their specialty is to change. Typically, it's changing their frequency, but they can change their dimension. They can change their color. They can change their sex. They can change pretty much everything about them. That's why they're so, Anunnaki are dragons, if you don't know, and they can change everything. They're so flexible. That's their strength. And typically a dragon will choose its color. So if you have a red dragon, it's because they chose to be red and they chose to show you that they're red. And this means that they may be more ambitious, more passionate, more aggressive potentially, more goal-oriented and just driven. That's typically a characteristic of red. And green is more compassionate, connected with nature, more loving, more expressive with their emotions. Each color means something different in a dragon. And when you talk to them, you learn more and more about that.
Oh, wow. And what about water dragons? Is that something deep underground? Those creatures exist here.
You mean on Earth?
Yeah, here and now.
I don't know about that many dragons that exist physically right now, but just the
Right,
ones that I
alright.
speak to consciously. Yeah.
What about the Chinese dragon family? Is that connected to this? What
It
do
is.
you have any information on who they are?
Yeah, I don't know what the differences are. I know physiologically the difference is that they're much more long and serpent-like, but I don't know why they choose that form rather than the traditional Draxilian form, which is the standard 4 legs and, rather stope body, rather large body and wings and whatnot.
So the people that represent the Chinese Ming Dynasty, I'm guessing the dragon family elders, they're basically descendant. They're like human Draco, oh not Draco, but are they a hybrid with the dragon? Is
They
that what you
likely
mean?
have some Anunnaki DNA.
Okay. And so can you answer this? We have another person who came on here who said the Anunnaki are a mix of Palladian and Syrian humanoid looking beings. Does that sound accurate to you?
No,
Okay.
they look
So
like dragons to me.
okay. Can you comment about I don't know if you have any information about it. If not, we'll just go ahead and finish the last question. So the Chinese immortals, do you know who they are? You've heard about them? Peng Zhu and the goddess of immortality, Kuan Yin.
Ah,
You know about
I
any?
don't typically spend too much time with Oriental people of the past and whatnot. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know why, but Lao Tzu is one of the members of the House of El, though, and they're just starting to come forward with their information. But Kuan Yin and those, we haven't spoke about them yet, unfortunately.
Okay, I think they're possibly in another dimension. However, this Peng Zhu, allegedly he lived for like 800 years and he's been dead for like 3,000 years or something, but that's not, maybe 1,500 years. But I had another person channel Peng Zhu, and he said that he's still alive and he has a dojo. I think it's in Vietnam or Thailand, and he said that I was supposed to be married to his daughter in a past life, but I ran off because of war and stuff and battles. And he wants me to come to the dojo and start training, but he's told me to bring some money, and he wants me to marry his daughter. Apparently she's still alive, but I don't know if I want this to believe any of that, but it just shows you that there probably are these beings still alive today, mixing amongst humans, and we may not even know where they are about. But yeah, he also said Americans are dogs. He said they called us a bunch of dogs.
That's not great.
But I guess I was a good dog, so he wanted me to come. All right. So anyway, Akashic records. What are the Akashic records, and what does it look like when you connect to it?
Oh, that's a great question. The Akashic records are all the information that's made to be known. There's the Book of Shadows. There are the Akashic records. There is the Halls of Amente. There are many sources of information that people can access. The Halls of what were we talking about? Not the Adam Cadman, the Akashic records. They have the information of all the timelines and all the dimensions, essentially. And what does it look like? Once you get past the gatekeepers, you can access the information, and they will help you find information in the Akashic records. And what does it look like? It's like for me, I see energy more as colors, and it's just a bunch of blue colors and gold, and it's more of a fractal when I see it. So
Okay, so the gatekeepers, like, who are they trying to keep away from the Akasha?
people that aren't worthy of the information.
Okay. All right. Well, let's just go ahead. And somebody just asked a good question, and maybe we'll leave on this. But I wondered earlier today if there was any info on psychedelics enabling easy remote viewing, which could be used for some of the disclosure info dumps. Oh, you want to comment about psychedelics? Is that do you recommend like the microdosing? Or is there certain compounds you
I don't want to hurt anybody with any drug recommendations, but I will say, me personally, I've come quite far in my spiritual growth and development. I've never taken acid or ecstasy or any hard drug. I've only smoked weed and taken magic mushrooms, but I've had tremendous healing with magic mushrooms. And I often take them on a, I would say, bi-weekly basis to do serious spiritual work. It's said that one trip on magic mushrooms is equivalent to 1,000 hours of therapy. So that's how I reached very high in my soul reintegration. That's how I did it. That's how I found Enlil and Tiamat and Anu. And it's even written in, I think it's Babylonian records or maybe Aztec. They talk about magic mushrooms and the connection to the Anunaki through the magic mushrooms. But if you want some real practical information on mushrooms, I shouldn't say too much. I just don't want anyone to get hurt. That's all. You have to take everything responsibly. But if you're just starting, you can try maybe 1 gram. And if you're feeling...
Ashtar, sorry, I think we can stop this. Yeah, because the night's getting on a bit too late for the Europeans. They
well, this was the last question, Crystal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Unless Pontus and Henrik has got some technological questions for Ashtar Anar, let's not go into psychedelics anymore. Yeah, because this is a serious scientific group here. Yeah. Okay, Henrik, do you have a question for Ashtar Anar to channel to solve some problems that you might come across in the development of some devices that you are tinkering with, Pontus?
Just before you say that, I actually am teaching a class at 7, but I need to make some preparations before then. So I don't think I'd actually be able to channel today, unfortunately.
Oh, okay. It's all right then. Thank you so much, Ashtar.
Sorry about that.
Thank you.
It's all right. James, thank you so much.
Let's try to get him back on here. Yeah, we'll come up. We'll talk to Pontus prior, come up with some really good questions, shoot it over to Ashtar Anar, so he'll be prepared. Will be so
sounds good.
So I guess we can close now. James, what do you think?
Yeah, that sounds great. Make sure you go to his website, davidlotherington.com. He has provide trainings, sessions.
Yeah, if you want to join the mentorship program, I teach a mentorship program, 3-month-long mentorship program.
Can you type your website here, your website link on chat so that I can add it to the description in the YouTube video?
Sure, thank you so much.
Can it go on YouTube, James, you think? Or should it go to BitChute?
Probably fine on YouTube.
Okay. So if you type your website there and a little bio, James, can you copy and paste the bio that you read out just now on chat so I can
yeah, sure, no problem.
Thank you so much, James.
Thank you.
Coming to the rescue with Ashtar when the speaker doesn't show up.
You got the jump on me this time for sure, but if I had some more time for preparations, perhaps it would be a bit different.
I understand. Thank you so much for jumping in without any notice, Ashtar. We really appreciate you. Yeah,
it's my pleasure.
All those questions that James gave you. Right. Thank you so much, folks, for hanging around and staying put for the next session, which is really nice. Okay, so there being no other business now, Physics 113th meeting, a second session is now adjourned to the 114th meeting, which will be held on the first Wednesday of July, right? And that will be on the, is it the 5th of July, Pontus, you think?
Sure.
Is it the 5th of July? That's a Wednesday, folks. Let's check. Yeah, that's right. 5th of July. Okay, so come back to our Zoom room on the 5th of July, 6:30 p.m. GMT. That is no BST, British Standard Time. Okay. Thank you, folks. Thank you so much. So we can stop recording now.
Bye, guys.